Hello, YouTube. Waiting for Facebook to connect, but hello, everyone. John McConnin here. Today we're going to discuss why Fauci cannot be listened to. He cannot be the guy who's leading our country in this effort. Right now, I am concerned because we have no coherent future. Our leadership is brutal. We're putting California back into lockdown, and we've got Fauci the clown who I know that's serious, but let me just take you right to it. I'm going to just let you listen to him today. I'm going to explain what he said a few weeks ago. Then we're going to take you back further, and we're going to tell you why this guy and his policies are a disaster. And we're going to compare to them some policies that could work. Then we're going to suggest to business and real estate people that we have to find another way, and we'll get to that in the end. So anyway, here. Now I know this is Breitbart, but I don't think they altered the audio. And I've cut to exactly the most offending part, although this whole interview is offensive to people who think about things. But I just want to cut to it right now and hear Fauci in his own words.
In the United States, why have you had those spikes, Jimmy? When you look at the fact that we never got things down to baseline, where so many countries in Europe and the UK and other countries did, they closed down to the tune of about 97% lockdown. In the United States, even in the most a strict lockdown, only about 50% of the country locked down. That allowed the perpetuation of the outbreak that we never did get under very good control. And now, all you have to do is take a look at the news at night, and you see people congregating at bars without masks, congregating in different types of groups that are well beyond the recommended number of people.
Okay, so he, the advocate and designer of the lockdown, the one who pushed Trump and everyone else to do the lockdown, that, like Gavin Newsom here in Florida did, lockdown hard, lockdown early, kept essential workers open. They're now making an excuse for why their lockdown failed, saying it wasn't strong enough. I'm going to tell you right now, that lockdown model was terrible from the beginning. It was a blanket lockdown instead of designed, tailor-made to the issues of keeping the beds open. It was never designed to lock down the virus. Now, why is this so annoying now? Everybody, all these experts, all the politicians go back and change what they've been saying. Okay, great. I accept it. He's weak, right? He's intellectually and he's spinelessly weak, right? I can accept that. That's common. But just a few weeks ago, Dr. Anthony Fauci says staying closed for too long could cause irreparable damage. Stay-at-home orders intended to curb the spread of the virus could end up causing irreparable damage. I don't want people to think that any of us feel that staying locked down for a prolonged period of time is the way to go, right? And then he came up with the mission, with the caveats about, it has to be done properly and all that. But he wasn't telling us back then that we haven't extinguished the virus sufficiently. He was saying we better open up before we destroy the economy. Now, as I said yesterday, before I knew about this, I said, this lockdown could not work. I probably said 100%. Here he's saying 97%. I said we probably had to be locked down for 100% for like 3 weeks to make the virus go away. You can't have essential workers and everybody else out and about and expect this virus to go away. It was crazy due to your lockdown. But so we cannot depend on our leaders. I mean, what's Gavin Newsom doing again? He's going to lock down for the beaches for a few days to punish people, and then what? We're going to open up again and get the virus again? I mean, we cannot be having these 50% lockdowns, these partial lockdowns. And 100% lockdowns really not the answer. And I'm going to tell you, if you examine this, many Asian countries also had they didn't actually have lockdowns. They kept businesses open, but they locked down their borders. They kept everybody out. They tested and traced, and they were strong. That's a model that wins. We have our borders open. We have people coming into as I showed you yesterday, the map in San Diego shows we have big breakouts happening along the border. The New York Times had an article, an issue 2 or 3 weeks ago saying people are coming over the border. Now, most of the article is about Americans and green card holders coming back. But at the end of it, they said, and even though the border is supposed to be closed, we do have a lot of people coming back over. And that's reality. Okay, so we haven't locked down our border, as worked in New Zealand and many other places. And our shutdown was not really, according to Fauci now, ever going, well, I don't know if he's meaning ever going to work, but it didn't work because we only locked down 50%, according to him. And these guys this is his model. This is what Gavin Newsom's doing. This is obviously not working by the spikes that we're seeing now. It was terrible. And so now we've got to work forward together as a country. Are we going to agree that we should have a 97% lockdown? If we are not, then this lockdown stuff has to stop. What we need is a smarter lockdown, testing and tracing where clusters are opening up, keeping old folks and people isolated. And once again, when Fauci was talking about baseline, I want to explain what baseline means. It's a gruesome way to say it, but the reality is it's the excess deaths calculation. What's the baseline amount of deaths? And he was saying many of these countries, and it's true, have brought Italy's baseline deaths. They're coming down to where it was. Spain came back down to the baseline. Here, let me take down that lower third now that I'm showing graphs. France, their baseline's down here. And this is from The Economist, by the way. Britain, getting there. The Netherlands, on it. Sweden. Now wait, Sweden? Sweden below. Now, how is that? They didn't have a lockdown. Once they protected their nursing homes and old folks, they didn't have a lockdown. They've had people out, as Fauci was saying, they've had people out. There's pictures of people in the articles out drinking with their masks off in restaurants. Yet, they're below baseline. Now, a question would be, is this actually showing that some people died early and lost a few months of their lives? I mean, statistically, I know that's rough, but if you're thinking like an actuary or statistician, and so that if you have a big spike, you're bound to have a rebound, and that's the question we would have with all these, or so are we inevitable? Like the U.S., I don't think it's in this article, unfortunately, but is the U.S. eventually going to come back to baseline just because COVID kills the people soon to die, and then it bounces back? I mean, that's an issue that we should be considering. But when Fauci brings up baseline, this is what he's talking about. And Sweden is doing as well or better as any country that may have had a 97% lockdown. And there's plenty of countries that had no lockdowns and closed their borders. So I am saying that the models are states, and Fauci have been advocating. And Trump is not doing what I want him to do, which is get out there with the data and explain everything and be a leader. But he obviously didn't like what was going on, tried to fight it, wanted us to have it be open by Easter. And the reality is that what we didn't work, right? There's no science or data saying what we did worked, because as we're opening, we're exploding, whereas Sweden is below. Like, as these places open up, I wonder if they're going to start going up again in deaths, in ICU, in usage, and in virus. But I find, this absolutely amazing, because it wasn't necessarily that you had to be locked down 97%. It was something else, right? I mean, it was obviously not what they were having us do, because we're exploding now. But maybe it was either you have to go 97% or you have to open up. And now, I admit, this could turn around on Sweden too. I think that's, out of all these, it's the least likely to turn around because they had the least restrictive shutdown. And modeling and intellectually, you would expect the more restrictive the lockdown, the more difficult the opening, whether it's a second wave or post-opening wave, it doesn't matter. The more restrictive the lockdown, if you haven't extinguished the virus, the more problems you're going to have after the lockdown. So they had the least restrictive, or one of the least restrictive, and so you would not expect their trends to change significantly. So what I'm saying overall is that when Gavin, okay, so I live in California. This is killing me right now. Newsom is closing beaches, like beaches, as if it spreads at the beach. Like, where's the data? Where's the science behind the idea that COVID is really spreading hard at the beach? He's just closing down parking lots in counties and beaches. For what reason? What is going on here? I mean, have we not gotten into this long enough and far enough where we could actually use science and data to show what we're doing and what our plans are? And so anyway, now I'm going to wrap this up because eventually we're going to get to real estate and business and how to improve real estate and business. My outlook for those of you trying to make decisions about mortgages, selling your home, renting homes, whatever your decisions are related to real estate and business, is that at the moment, we don't have a single leader of which I'm aware, so a major leader, that is actually talking and doing the things that we really need to recover. We're not seeing science and data. I have no hope that a policy of shutdown, open shutdown, open shutdown, open shutdown, open shutdown is going to do anything to our virus stats. Right now, the only hope that the models and Gavin Newsom and Fauci and others are advocating is that the virus burns out naturally on its own. We have herd immunity, which I'm not saying is scientifically founded. There's still open questions on why people would fight the virus. Some don't. Some use T cells. They don't even use antibodies. Some studies are showing that antibodies may burn out. Other studies among young sailors show that 40% didn't even have antibodies three months after. So I'm not saying herd immunity is the answer, but it's a hope. Like, if we have a hope, we can't put any hope in our leaders. They've shown no ability to manage this process properly. And you can see that by the spikes we're having right now. If the spikes are above the percent positives, and they are, I think we can say we're having a virus outbreak, unless you're just overcounting the same people multiple times, in which case they're losers then too for shutting us down. But we can't trust them. They've got no clue. They're terrible. They should be replaced, all of them, top to bottom. Need to be replaced with people who actually care, people who can balance harm, people who can care about people dying from COVID, people who can care about dying because of this shutdown. People can compare it by the damage. Compassionate leaders that are intelligent enough to understand science and data should be driving this, not morons like Fauci. And I know that sounds strong, but that, if you research him, a lot of the people think he did a terrible job fighting AIDS. Okay, he's done a terrible job fighting COVID, absolutely terrible. So this guy can't be listened to, and Trump can't afford to replace another person politically, so he's still going to be there. But there's no reason to listen to him unless he produces science and data. So my advice to you is, if you think you're going to have to sell the home, well, put it this way: don't count on these guys to fix COVID. That's unless COVID goes away on its own naturally, that has to be what we're looking for. Will COVID go away? Because otherwise, these guys are going to mess up the economy. They're going to mess up our health because they're clueless, absolutely clueless right now. They've put forth no coherent policy. They don't seem to understand that it's virus now, virus later, unless we have a vaccine, because what they were doing didn't extinguish the virus, and shutting down, opening up. Why would we expect that to be different? To expect a different result would be crazy. We've all heard that cliche, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result is insane, right? We shut down, it didn't work. Now we're going to partially shut down again. We're not going to 97%. If we go to 97% or a massive shutdown, I'll do a new video and say, hey, maybe that will extinguish this virus. So as of now, we have to hope the virus loses virulence. It burns out on its own. We have herd immunity, or these guys start getting serious about clusters and super spreaders. Then we have a future. Right now, you can count on that our government isn't going to make a difference. It's the virus itself or our herd immunity. So that's today. That's the outlook. I cannot get over Clown Fauci. I just can't believe it. What was this date? May 22nd. So a little bit more than a month ago, he was like, we better open up or we're going to have massive damage. And he was not talking about the shutdown having not extinguished the virus, although that was clear. He wasn't saying that we should have been at a 97% shutdown like people in Europe. It's so disappointing. I mean, they're playing with people's lives now. They're they're not capable of making good decisions because they've shown no evidence of it, and it's sad. Maybe I don't know. I don't know what to say. I'm just stunned. We're breaking out with COVID again. We accomplished nothing with a 3-month shutdown, and now we're starting to shut down again. And there's no evidence that it did any good. And yet the whole time, had we followed Sweden's model, and I'm not saying it would have worked, but I'm just saying, let's compare it to results. What have we done? What have they done? It's just sad. All right, thanks. Talk to you later. Bye.